Hey everybody, James from DEADLOCK here, and today we're going to be talking about the Stardom 9th Anniversary Korakuen Hall show. I made a couple of goals for this year, and one of those goals was to cover all the Stardom Korakuen Hall shows for 2020 on YouTube. So this is the very first one. If you guys enjoy Joshi Pro Wrest, or you want to hear more from me or anything like that, I actually run a Joshi Pro Wrest podcast called Big Fight Feel. You can check that out in the description below, or head to bigfightfieldjoshi.com. So Stardom is coming off a pretty hot Korakuen from the year-end climax. We had a couple of good matches there at the end. It was overall a solid card, and it was a really good idea of what we're going to get from Stardom going into 2020. With Bushiroad acquiring Stardom and a bunch of people just kind of moving around factions or factions being created, there was a lot of intrigue going into the Stardom 9th Anniversary show. So if you enjoy Stardom or me talking about it or anything like that, leaving a thumbs up, commenting down below, supporting this is always perfect. We had the show kick off with a dark match that saw Hina and Leo Onozaki from Queen's Quest face off against Ruaka and Rina from Tokyo Cyber Squad. If you're new to Stardom or you're thinking about getting into it, this is how most shows, especially Korakuens, are going to open. You're going to have matches with Leo Onozaki or Ruaka, or just some sort of combination of Rina and Hina. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Leo Onozaki, and I hope that she can make her way up the card over the next year or so, kind of like Saya Iida's done. She's done a pretty good job here in the past year of kind of moving her way up. She's not like at the top of the card or anything, but she's getting there. And as a big fan of Leo Onozaki, I would like to see that happen. I mean, I understand what they're doing, kind of keeping her there to kind of work with Rina and Hina and Ruaka. And, you know, Leo is a really solid worker, and I understand what they're doing, but, you know, I'm also a big fan of just Leo moving up the card. So usually how these go is Rina and Hina have sort of like a never-ending feud because they're sisters, and then everyone else kind of picks the pieces in between, and that's exactly what we got here. At one point in the match, Hina grabs onto Rina and hits this super clean ripcord judo toss. I mean, it was beautiful. But in the end, Rina ended up picking up the win over Hina with a fantastic bridging backslide pin. I mean, it was just really nice. Next up, we have Azumi, Zoe Sky, and Starlight Kid in a high-speed three-way match. So from what it seems, there's going to be a high-speed Grand Prix tournament, which I assume is going to be some sort of round-robin thing with the very small amount of people in Stardom that are in the high-speed division. You can call it a division, I guess. It's more so just like 4 or 5 people. It's like Azumi, Death Yama-san, Riho, Starlight Kid, I guess, and Zoe Sky, and maybe Layla Hirsch. I mean, it's a very small division. I will say this much, at the very least, at least they're trying to do something with that, because there's a lot of people like Azumi and Starlight Kid that kind of need this division, or else they're going to get lost in the mix. So I think it's cool that they're at least trying, especially post Hazuki, because, you know, without her, the high speed kind of fell apart. I mean, Riho was working 2 different companies. It was a lot going on. So I at least like that they're doing something with it. Now, if you're new to Stardom or you're getting into it or whatever the case may be, when you hear high speed division, you're probably thinking of something crazy, but there's actually no like special rules for this division. It just kind of exists. When Hazuki had the belt, she kind of made her own rules. They were like little gimmick rules, like you have to have 6-pack abs to compete in the division and things like that. But other than that, there's no like official rules for the high speed division. So you might see high speed matches in other Joshi companies and things like that. And yes, those are a little different than Stardom's high speed stuff, because in the other companies like Seedling or Marvelous, and even wrestlers that usually are in those high speed matches, like someone like Miyo Momono, they're different because they have actual rules for the high speed. Like in those divisions and those companies, you have to like hit the ropes before you go for a pin and things like that. But in Stardom, it's just like a cruiserweight match. I guess maybe even a better way to say it is like, it's kind of like early X division. But I will say this much, Azumi and Starlight Kid have maybe faced 4,000 times in the past year, just alone. But I'm not going to complain about seeing it 4,001 times, because they just have really good chemistry and they always come up with something creative. I mean, let's be real. If you saw this match and like you looked at the names and you never even watched Stardom a day in your life, you kind of could figure out that Zoe Sky was just here to kind of take the pin, but at least she had a really good showing in the matchup anyways. She got up in the corner at one point in this match, and it was really, really cool. I was like, what is she even doing up there? She got up in the corner at one point and she hit this super sweet double Warriors Way. And then the referee ends up doing the double count, which is like low-key one of my favorite things about Japanese wrestling. They don't do it a lot in America. They do it sometimes in AEW because they have referees that kind of are different. They don't have protocol like WWE would, so they can do the double pin. But yeah, that's like one of my favorite things. So Azumi picks the win up over Zoe Sky in a quick pin. It's actually a new move of Azumi. She usually uses like a Fujiwara armbar to win her matches, but this time she switched it up. She went for the Fujiwara armbar, but she kind of rolled through into a pin, and I believe she's calling that the Azumi Sushi from what it seems like, which is a genius move, by the way, because you can go straight from her Fujiwara armbar, and if that doesn't work, she can go into a pin, which is really, really smart. It's almost like a jujitsu transition in a way. Like if you were to get somebody in a triangle and they pulled their arm out, you could go into like a omoplata or something. Azumi is just incredibly good. Moving on to the next match, we have Stars versus Oedo Tai. We have Saya Iida, Saya Kamitani, and we have Itsuki Hoshino facing off against Natsuko Tora, Natsu Sumire, and we have the newly acquired Saki Kashima. Oedo Tai is kind of going through a lot of changes right now between Hazuki retiring, Kagetsu retiring, Saki Kashima joining, B. Priestoli joining here at the end of the show. There's a lot of stuff going on here. The Stars team, on the other hand, is like a team of rising stars. No pun intended, I swear. You have Saya Iida, Saya Kamitani, and Itsuki Hoshino. Saya Iida and Saya Kamitani have been getting a lot of fanfare recently, especially after the tag league, and Itsuki Hoshino is getting really lifted up by the rest of Oedo Tai, who just keeps calling her cute. Saki Kashima has changed quite a bit in the very short amount of time that she's been in Oedo Tai. She's cut her hair, she's got this new outfit, she wants to go drinking with the boys, you know, she's crazy. I feel like Saki wasn't really doing very much last year. I feel like, you know, between her artist title reigns and things like that, she was kind of just floating around trying to find her footing and figure out where she belongs in Stars, and I feel like this is probably the best thing they could have done with her. At one point in this match, Tall Saya, which is Saya Kamitani, was feeling kind of different, man. It was funny. She hit this drop kick on Natsuko, and then after she does that, she's going for like a Boston Crab or something, if I remember it correctly, and like right before she goes for the Boston Crab, she like does this little taunt, and it looks like it's straight out of Day of Reckoning. Like she just does this little taunt, like she just activated her finisher, like she was feeling like, yeah, let's get it. And in one of my favorite moments on probably the entire card and maybe 2020 as a whole so far, Saya Iida hulks up. So Saki has got her foot on Saya Iida, and she's just pushing her down, she's pushing her down, and she's pushing her down, and Saya Iida has just had enough. It's her 1-year anniversary. She's trying to feel good. She gets up, she starts hulking up, slamming her fists on her chest, man. It was awesome. And then right after she does that, she starts slamming out chops on Saki. It was a very cool moment. If you watch my podcast, Big Fight Feel, I am always talking about how much I love Saya Iida, man. She is literally one of my favorite wrestlers, and seeing her get that moment was really dope. Between this and her tag team with Saya Kamitani and her pre-tapes and her matches, and she's starting to introduce new moves, and I feel like 2020 is going to be the year for Saya Iida, man. I really do. Sadly, in the end, Saya Iida gets hit in the head with the Oedo Tai board, as per usual with Oedo Tai matches, and Saki Kashima ends up hitting the My Emblem, which I'm not sure if she still calls it that now that she's in a different group. But anyway, she hits the My Emblem and she picks up the win. Next here on the card, we have Kagetsu versus Tom Nakano. This is a very special match because Kagetsu's on a retirement tour. She doesn't have many Stardom matches left, and Tom and Kagetsu used to be in maybe quite arguably the most popular version of Oedo Tai. So of course, Tom takes this match really seriously, you know? So Tom comes into this match with his special purple gear and this halberd, and she's swinging this halberd around. I'm like, okay, all right, she's about to get the moon shoes. So now I feel like I need to see Yappy from Actress Girls and Tom with the halberd create some sort of mega weapon team. I feel like Stardom is starting to work with more and more freelancers and getting people from other companies. You could definitely make it happen. But truly, this match was everything you could have asked it to be. I mean, it was hard hitting. There was callbacks to previous matches. There was a fantastic emotional after-match promo. It was truly a love letter for Tom Nakano and Kagetsu. Tom had some ridiculous spots in this one. At one point, Kagetsu was climbing up to the top rope to hit the Oedo coaster. So Tam is on the ground and she straight up bends her way back to her feet like a zombie, man. It was quite the visual. In the end, Tom ends up hitting a string of her best moves on Kagetsu before debuting a new move called the Twilight Dream, which is a variation of her Tiger Suplex that she did before. She started grabbing Kagetsu's arms and started stringing them together and doing all this. I'm like, what in the world is she gonna do here? I will say this much. I made it about 25 days into 2020 before I cried watching wrestling. There was a lot more to this match for Tom than I think just pinning Kagetsu. I think there was a lot that kind of led into that. You know, this is more so about Tom proving her growth to Kagetsu, that she made the right decision, you know, to Kagetsu allowing her to make that decision in the first place, and finding who her true self is and being able to find out what kind of wrestler she wants to be and what kind of person she wants to be. And I think all of that kind of at the end, and then Tom cutting the promo, and then I just... To be fair, Tom matches have a history of making me cry, so it's just what it is. We move on from the emotional match to the hard-hitting, ass-kicking match. We have Jungle Kyona and Konami from Tokyo Cyber Squad facing off against Jamie Hayter and B. Priestoli. I guess, you know, technically you're not supposed to know this yet, but both are in Oedo Tai. Jungle Kyona and Jamie Hayter are in this kind of feud right now because Jungle Kyona got injured in the 5-star by Jamie Hayter. So you knew right away that this one was going to be a hard-hitting affair. Matter of fact, the second that you see Jungle Kyona or Jamie Hayter or a combination of the two in the ring, you already know it's going to be a hard-hitting affair. Matter of fact, when you see Jungle Kyona railroad the other person at the beginning of the match instead of tie up, you know what you're going to get yourself into. Most of this match was Jamie Hayter and Jungle Kyona, and Jamie was kind of targeting that shoulder that she had hurt in the 5-star Grand Prix, which was was a really sad affair in the first place because Kyona was having such a good 5-star this year. To be honest with you, Kyona had a hell of a 2019 altogether. You can look from the beginning of the year all the way to the end. Kyona was an absolute workhorse. So Konami comes in the match as she faces off with B. Priestley for most of the match, and she just couldn't get the job done as B. Priestley pushes her into the corner, gets the Queen's Landing, and picks up the victory, and we have new Goddesses of Stardom Tag Team Champion. I believe this makes B. Priestley and Jamie Hayter the very first all-Gaijin Goddesses Tag Champs ever in the history of Stardom. And I will always be here to see Jamie Hayter and Jungle Kyona beat the dog shit out of each other. I will always be here. So now we have Tokyo Cyber Squad, which was Hana Kimura, Death Yamasan, and Layla Hirsch, and they face off against Julia Goon, which we find out later in the match ends up being a new faction called Donna Del Mondo. Julia has been teasing that she's going to be making this faction for quite a bit of time now. She said she's going to bring in X and Double X to this Korakuen, and we're going to find out who they are. A lot of people thought that she was going to stick with Andras Miyagi, but that obviously is not the case, which kind of sucks because it seems like Stardom has no plans whatsoever for Andras. And if you were to ask me that around April or May of last year, I would have said that you're crazy because she was set up pretty well. And I personally love Andras, man. I hope that they find something for her to do. She's too good to just be sitting there. Anyways, X is revealed to be Micah from the promotion Just Tap Out. If you guys want to see a little bit from her, you can check out the match with Utami Hayashishita, which was just a little bit ago. I believe it was uploaded to Stardom World if you want to check it out. But Double X was the big one to me. Double X was revealed to be Shuri! Shuri is out of this world, man, and seeing her in Stardom was crazy. If you don't know who she is, she's a former shoot fighter. She used to be in a tag team with Hikaru Shida. She's in like every promotion right now. She's a freelancer. She's taken over the world, man, and she's now here in Stardom. When I was in Japan a few weeks ago, I think I saw Shuri at like 4 or 5 different promotions. I mean, she was literally everywhere. I will say this much. Hopefully it doesn't mean that she's taking like super priority booking for Stardom because I kind of want to see her dominating as a freelancer. I saw her at the Sendai Girls show on 1/5. I believe the VOD for that should be up on like January 27th or something like that on Nico. So if you want to check that show out, you can. She faced off against Chihiro Hashimoto and she knocked her out cold. And if you know Chihiro Hashimoto, that does not happen, man. I'm just saying, Shuri is dope. When it comes to Gaijins in Stardom, you really don't know what you're gonna get, but we have Layla Hirsch, and I have to say, man, she's actually pretty damn good. It's funny because Layla is so awkward in all the pre-tapes and all the interactions with Death Yamasan and Hana, but when it comes to like actually grappling, she's just really good. She's got this one spot in particular that gets over every single time where she goes into the corner and hits this like step up moonsault gimmick, and it's beautiful. I mean, she hits it flush every time. It's a really good spot. Of course, Layla's gonna take the pin here because that's just kind of how things work out, but Julia ends up grabbing her, hitting her with that modified tombstone, which is super sick. It's almost like if I imagine Jerry Lynn turning around the cradle pile driver, I kind of imagine him doing something like that, but it looked exceptionally brutal here. I mean, her head just spiked that ground hard. Of course, Julia and Hana get into a little verbal argument after the match because that's just what they do, and I might be out of pocket here, but I swear to God that you can cut the sexual tension between these two with a knife. Like, I can never tell if they want to beat each other up or if they just want to go out on a date afterwards. It's a very interesting dynamic between the both of them. The match itself was pretty forgettable for the most part, but I probably won't forget seeing Shuri walk out there, hearing her music hit and then see her get in the ring, and I was just like, wow. This is awesome. Now we're into the semi-main and the main event. We have the white belt and the red belt on the line in these two matches respectively, and we're going to start off here with Arisa Hoshiki and Utami Hayashishita for the white belt. Utami beat Arisa in the 5-star Grand Prix a few months ago, and surprisingly, Arisa up to that point had not lost any matches. Well, at least into the 5-star Grand Prix. That's when she started losing matches, but before that, she had won like almost all her. I don't think she had gotten pinned all year long. Arisa's 2019 was kind of unbelievable. I mean, you could go between any of her white belt defenses and they're all fantastic. If I had to use one word to describe Arisa Hoshiki's 2019, I would probably just use the word consistent. She was just at a different level all year. So if you thought this match was going to start with some sort of tie-up or you thought they were going to do some wrist locks, that is not the case. Matter of fact, the match started off with a headbutt. So you knew exactly what this was going to be. Arisa's changed quite a bit since winning the white belt. When you go back and watch her in the very first couple of matches, her match style is a little bit different. To say that she has turned into a complete psychopath over the past like 9 months would almost be an understatement. A lot of us in the community just started calling her the smiling psychopath just because she has this attitude when she gets into a match, and it's weird. She goes into like this trance but she's still smiling the whole time. Utami ends up getting busted open about halfway through this match when Arisa grabs her head and throws her up against the apron, and she hits it. I guess she just hits it flush. She gets opened up hard way, and Arisa's like, you know what, man, we're not going to slow down for a second. I see that you're gushing all over the floor. So Arisa does this running jump off the rope, springboard knee into the crowd. It was a very, very crazy spot. Things spill back into the ring in this match, and Arisa and Utami are just straight up swinging on each other. I mean, at one point, Arisa was in like full mount. Like, Utami's not even defending herself at this point. She's bleeding on the ground. Like, this match is metal as hell, and I haven't even gotten to my favorite part. We get towards the end of the match. Arisa hits the Shining Impact. She's defended the belt with that move before. She's beaten people with the Shining Impact before. She gets down for the count. It was a solidified 3. And she grabs Utami's bleeding skull and rips her up off the mat at a 2 count and stares blankly into the camera, dude, as she's holding Utami's bleeding head. I was looking all over for like a high-res picture of this moment. I couldn't find one, so I posted on Twitter of the thing. I'm like, this is the most metal thing I have ever seen in my life. Arisa is on one. So she grabs her head, she picks her back up, she hits the Brazilian kick, and that's defense number 9 for Arisa Hoshiki. Another fantastic defense and maybe one of the best title reigns that I've seen in quite a bit of time. And in the main event, we have Momo Watanabe facing off against Mayu Iwatani for the red belt, and they have their work laid out for them. It's the future Ace of Stardom Momo versus the current Ace of Stardom Mayu Iwatani. You know you're gonna get something special. Mayu's got this red gear on, of course, for the red belt. She has the little chains on her side of her pants to like kind of emulate the red belt that she brought back, the old school style. She's very much Stardom. Like when you think of Stardom, it's Mayu Iwatani. Like you can't separate the two. It's just kind of who they are. Momo brought in this really sweet mask, and I was like, oh, check out Depot Mart, see if it's up. It either sold out super quick or Momo's gonna hold on to that. Usually the Depot Mart has the masks after the shows. They had a couple, I think they had like B Priestley's and stuff, but they did not have Momo's. I was like, damn, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, I probably would have looked at it and seen it was like, I don't know, like $1,000. I'm like, maybe not, but it would have been cool to see it up there. Of course, they tie up. We get this back and forth as just one person tries to get the upper hand on the other one there. It's just continued back and forth. Momo heads to the top rope, throws Mayu out of the ring, and hits this meaty aura to the floor on the outside. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. All right. This match is so down the middle, man. It truly was. I mean, Momo and Mayu are trading suplexes back and forth, anybody just trying to get one step ahead of the other, but every time they do, it's like the person just meets them right there. Momo ends up grabbing Mayu for the Peach Sunrise, and Mayu kicks out of the Peach Sunrise. I feel like I've seen that maybe, I could probably count on one hand how many people I've seen kick out of the Peach Sunrise. I don't even think it's that many. Momo tries to drag Mayu over the corner. She's got to put her away somehow. She gets her over to the corner, puts her up for the Peach Sunrise. She's going to do like a super Peach Sunrise out of the corner, but Mayu super kicks her in the face, jumps backwards without looking, and hits a poison Rana, man. Like, I was like going crazy at this point because I'm like, you can't do that. I think even Momo was thrown off by that, because after that jumping no-look poison Rana, man, Momo just couldn't even, there was nothing left. She just, I think that crushed her soul to pieces, because Mayu ends up hitting the moonsault. She hits the tombstone pile driver. She sets her up for that two-stage dragon suplex, and that was it, man. Mayu Iwatani is still your red belt champion. After the match, we have a little bit of a shenanigans going down. B comes out and straight up attacks Momo. She says, I'm not in QQ anymore. She curses a lot and throws up a bunch of middle fingers, because that's just kind of how B Priestley is. And she even attacks Azumi. I was like, hold on, no. I don't know if you want to do all that. You know, attacking Momo after a match is one thing, but Azumi will let that thing go. So it looks like B Priestley is now in Oedo Tai instead of Queen's Quest. And I guess Bushiroad Stardom allows that, because you definitely could not just like switch and create stuff before. You know, you had to like, there was like moments in time that you could, it was like free agency almost in a way. You definitely couldn't do that before. People are making factions, leaving factions, switching factions. People are moving around. I guess it's probably because we're kind of in a transition period between, I guess, like now and maybe, I don't even know if they're going to do the draft this year. I assume they are. But we're inside sort of like a transition period, and we have to set up for all that stuff. So so it makes sense. And as the show is about to wrap up, Mayu says, I will face anybody. I don't care who it is. And of course, Sari comes up on the Titantron, the Rossitron. That's cursed. I shouldn't have said that. Wow. Anyway, she says she's going to be challenging Mayu Iwatani at the February 8th Stardom show. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man, this match is going to kick so much ass. It's going to be insane. Stardom has had a very strong couple of months here. The entire month of December through right now has just been really, really good to them. The year-end climax was really good all the way through. This Korakuen maybe is one of the best, if not the best Korakuen full stop all the way through that I've seen from Stardom since I started watching full time. And 2020 is going to be crazy. So I rate matches kind of different than most people. I find it super difficult to give matches stars because that means I have to look at stuff objectively and break things down, and wrestling's not exactly like that. And I could go on like a tangent, or, you know, I could sit here for an hour and explaining why I don't do this and that, but the case is I rate things a little different. So what I do is I have 3 ratings. I have recommended, highly recommended, and must-see matches. So recommended is sort of like matches I think that you should check out if you have some free time. Like, you would enjoy it if you're trying to find something to do, like check these out. Highly recommended is like, damn dude, look at this, because they did the thing. And must-see is like your match of the year candidates, stuff that you're going to be talking about all year long sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like things like that. So I actually have a few on my recommended. I have Kagetsu versus Tom Nakano, which was just a really fun and emotional affair that I think you should definitely check out. And I have Saya Ida, Saya Kamitani, and Itsuki Hoshino versus Natsuko Tora, Natsu Sumire, and Saki Kashima, which was just there because Saya Ida rules. Now for highly recommended, I ended up putting Momo Watanabe versus Mayu Iwatani there. I don't think it was the super blow away match, but it was a very, very good match that left some things in the back of my head for when they face it, because I know it's going to happen. They're going to face off again later on. I know it's going to happen. And I actually, which might surprise, maybe if you know me at all, I am just super high on Arisa Hoshiki right now, to be completely honest with you. But I went must see. I think the added blood from Utami, and then the shot of her dragging her head up as she's staring into the camera, there was just a lot of really dope stuff in this match that I had to go must see on this. This would probably be on my match of the year candidate list at the end of the year. We'll see. I mean, Arisa could still have a crazy rate all the way through the year. I don't know what's going to happen, but I had to go must see because there was just too many factors here that I was like, this rules. If you were to ask me right now, what should I watch to get into Stardom? I would either recommend Year-End Climax, just because that'll set you up for the 9th anniversary Korakuen show, or just watch the 9th anniversary Korakuen show. This show, from the beginning to the end, was just a really thought out, well executed show. This might be, like I said earlier, might be one of the best Korakuens that Stardom has ever produced. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I was thinking about it after the fact. I'm like, man, I don't have anything bad to say about this entire card. And they had some damn good matches all the way through. They had some surprises with Shuri coming through. They had hard-hitting affairs with like Junga Kyona and Jamie Hayter. They had emotional affairs with Kagetsu and Tom Nakano. They had, I mean, like, what else could you possibly ask for? You know what I mean? Like, this was just a really, really good show. I will be back whenever Stardom finishes uploading the February 8th Korakuen, where we're going to be seeing Sari face off against Mayu Iwatani, which is going to be nuts. Have a good one, everybody. See you then. See you.